morning, everyone. Just to start in the beginning, my name is Leandro Rossi. I'm the Executive Director for the Mining Hub. As Couto mentioned, it's an amazing program that we have down there in Brazil because it's not an institutional program. It was decided by the mining companies to implement and implemented by the mining companies. So who are the owners? The mining companies. So it's a slight difference, but it's make the program, make the entity work and connected by all the ecosystems that we have in the mining space. So this is important to know. And I'm very, very happy to see the previous presentation talking about integration of universities with the students in order to form guys for the mining sectors. It's one of the programs that we have, and we can connect after that discussions with those guys. And I assume that Couto will approve for the extension of that program initiatives down there in Brazil. So we have a program of workforce for the future. They mapping some gaps that we have in the mine. Of course, in mine, sometimes it's not in Paris. We are in places that it's so very complicated to attract. And how can we get all the talents to work in our mining sectors? It's not so easy. So it's a tremendous initiatives that we can have. I'm a former executive from the mining segment. I used to work at Vale for several years. After that, Anglo America. And then when I received this invitation to lead in Mining Hub in the beginning of 2022, it was a pleasure for me because we can connect the passion that I have for the mine and innovation business development. So, and they pay me. So they have opportunities to pay more, but they pay me to do what I love to do. So it's tremendous initiatives down there. Just to begin, a disclaimer of Mining Hub. What is the reason of the disclaimer? It's not just to make a formal positions, because as a hub and a collaborative hub, we need to understand what type of integration and what type of issues that we use to run in a open innovation space. Oh, we can do everything? No. Some sensitive case, some sensitive problems that it's not we cannot run down there in Mining Hub. So it's important for people to understand, the players to understand what I have, my possibilities to doing that. And when they understand, we can optimize all the players and the stakeholders to accelerate and develop a business. So it's important not to have a formula, to understand what I can do that, and more than it, what I cannot do that. So set the expectations. We are a hub that open innovation generates shared value for the mining sector and the innovation ecosystem, addressing challenges of the present and the opportunities of the future. This is part of our proposal, value proposition. And then Mining Hub used to have, for years and a half, more than 15 cycles developed of open innovation calls in the market, integrated with more than, I will show some numbers. But I used to receive more than 20 benchmark sectors to understand how can we cooperate and put the players to work together. And I am from not an old guy from the industry, but a long-term in the industry. All the time we understand that our industry is a conservative one, big players, closed. Of course, we still have opportunities to open. But what I have in mind when some sectors asking me, how can we work together? It's a little bit surprised because, wow, I assume that we are not the reference to work together, and the guys would like to understand the model. And of course, it's after the third questions, I thought, let's try to understand a little bit more. It's a competitive matter. We have opportunities to work together in terms of marketing competition. So there is a room to work on that in mind. We have a market full of one. Of course, we're talking about commodities, but we have some specials. But there is opportunities to work and to combine efforts in terms of big mining companies and small mining companies and medium-sized mining companies, suppliers as well, universities, startups. So based on that, the model, it's dedicated to the open innovation issues, and this pragmatism make us develop good projects and good programs down there. This is our pillars, and this is important because all of this information is defined by the board members that it's the mining companies. So it's not someone that prepare and then try to sell to the mining companies. No, they are working together. They are working to develop those pillars and those factors for success in terms of the mining hub and increase the engagement and the commitment. This is one of the most important part. Looking towards the future of mining, this is part of our strategic plan. And it's important that we don't have opportunities to make annual cycle, strategic cycle plan. This is part of our daily routine job. When we develop a plan, I think one of the successes that Mining Hub has, we have conditions to implement the strategy. It's not a matter of a PowerPoint design. No, I think that one of the positive reasons that Mining Hub is in a good shape because they have opportunities to implement. This is a factor for success we have. So our customers, our ecosystem, they expect us to pay attention in the future, develop a culture of innovation, share the value, experience, and ecosystem. Based on that, all the programs are connected to those pillars. Just an overview of who we are in terms of the mining side and count, supplier side and count also. Our product portfolio, we used to have in the past only have one this program that if you now when you have one takeaway for this presentation, from one side we have mining that put challenges on the table. It's a little bit different model of a hub. In general, we have hubs that attract the startup solutions, try to develop good brains, good solutions, and then go to market to present, to show to the corporate companies in order to adopt those solutions. In Mining Hub, it's a little bit different. We make it in the opposite way. All the mining companies together decided what type of challenge we will speed up. We make a screening process on that, and then based on this screening process defined by the mining companies, we select and make one important question when we put a challenge on the table. Is it important for your company or it's relevant for the sector? Because if it's relevant for the sector, we can run in Mining Hub. But if in case it's a specific program, we can have another alternatives to supporting that, like benchmark. And this is what I am consider very, very important in the Mining Hub space. When, for instance, Hexagon is part of that, UI is part of that as a suppliers, strategic suppliers, it's natural they can connect to the mining companies. And more than it, it's a part of an empathy process. Because when companies inside of the Mining Hub looking for Hexagon, wow, you support an open innovation program. You are part of this. You will not only invest to stay here, but you want to develop the situation. You want to cooperate on that. I'm saying that if you wanted to offense at us, you call Mining Hub as a call work. It's not a call work. The guy that gone there for the third time, he stayed there, use a microphone and just working, come on. The fourth, you cannot allow you to come. Because it's needed to connect. That's the point, most important point that we have in Mining Hub. Connection. Sorry for the Portuguese, but this is the three combinations, words that we can do in Mining Hub. Innovation, connection, transformation. You can use, independent on the order due to like. That's the reason down there. And in case you develop a program, you can easily connect to someone on another company. Oh, you are the guy for that company. I am the guy from those companies that would like to present solutions. It's totally different than you are in a trade show and just give you a card. Oh, I developed those solutions. It's more than it. So it's part of the empathy that you are supporting an open innovation program. And now we developed several other programs. And we start, as I mentioned to you, connecting challenges of mining with solutions in the market dedicated to the startup. Why is dedication to the startup? This is one of the points used to discuss with the guys in the board members. Because only startups are allowed to participate in that calls. Why? As a giant mining segments, we have giant mining players. If we do nothing, only big companies doing business with big companies. So why we can do different? It's not a matter of, wow, we have several startups that are good solutions and good product. But I just give you an example for a research that we made last month. Around 30%, 30% of the solutions approved by the mining companies are not implemented. The startup is still waiting for the deploy. They approved the solutions, they put on the table what they want to develop, and why not? This is important. This is a matter of a culture as a pillar that we are doing. Sometimes a typical management of a big mining company or a small one, they asking for solutions, a problem, but they have their routine. And when they have their routine, they don't give importance to accelerate on that. The other important issues, they want a waiver. Oh, Leandro has developed that solution. Oh, come on, who is Leandro? Yeah, quote, another for you. And Hexagon developed that solution. Wow, Hexagon, okay. I am a management of a mining company. If my boss asked me, who are in charge of that problem? Hexagon. Wow, okay, go ahead. No, it's Leandro. Oh my God. So they don't have, what I mentioned on that, I am part of that solutions when I am used to be an executive on the mining side. Why not give the importance to the startup and the possibility solutions in the beginning? You are paid less. It's a non-binding for that time, but it's difficult to, Guilherme, if I ask you for, oh, I need 1 day to develop an industrial trial, come on, forget about. That's the reason. So why Mining Hub try to develop? Reducing risk, increase the early adopter, let them develop a little bit more, and then go to the mining side and put on the table bigger solutions. That's the point. We can stimulate and emulate this model for the mining side, reducing risk. But on the other side, the mining companies, what is the risk management that they have? What is the appetite that they have to support that mining company? That is the challenge that we have, and this is a matter of a culture. Mining Hub, it's an interesting case that we can talk about 3 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 days. So I try to summarize many ideas. 1.4 startups has applied during these 5 years, almost 5 years. More than around 700 connections down there. It's important number, this one. More than proof of concept development, 150. We have I will explain why is that, because now it's time to scale. In case of that, we encourage all the startups in order to avoid them to make a proof of concept industry. Now I developed to one of them, Samarco. Now I try to calibrate in that and develop to validate the same idea. No, let's go to market. Let's try to scale that solution. So that's what's the new focus that we have. We get all those solutions that we have in our inventory and understand why not. That's the important point on that. I just show you some cases. And I used to talk with Coach several times. We have good companies to be part of the strategy. We have good companies and startups that develop solutions. This one is with Vale. They develop a production that they have a problem in order to conveyor belt tiers, and they develop the solutions online predicted in order to detect the risks of a tier in a conveyor belt. Can you play this video, please? Good. Just for you to understand a little bit about the system. It's a hard one and soft one. My startups that develop not only software, but they have the combination of a hardware. So it's good. And it's not so often when you find in any startup environment. So it's a good one. They detect the risks of the conveyor belts. Developing Vale, as I mentioned, and deployed to several other companies nowadays. What is the volume and estimated the value with a high level accuracy. So it's another good one. Conquer. It's another one solutions that they have from Moon's X-ray in order to detect some informations inside of their company. Like in Samarco, I can present that they are doing that for the tailing dams management and understand what is the level of density that they had in that area. This is a startup solutions that present. This is just a rationale of the product model and the service model. They have a probe, a telescope here capturing those informations and can measure several informations then and used to help the company to make decisions. It's a startup's development. So it's so amazing product that they have for telling them security. Another one, and this is, I am going to the end, but it's another important point that you to take away in terms, how can we develop that nowadays in terms of scale? We made a kind of a score, a kind of a scale to apply in mining companies and in startups. I'm just pulling down to that. When we apply those research to the mining one and the startups, we have a combination of a green, yellow, and this is the level of possibility for scale business. So one combination of a mining and a startups. We apply that, make an assessment, and then nowadays we are focused on the greens and moving to that direction in order to implement. So you can imagine stocks of proof of concepts are around 150. If we scale that and 10% convert to new suppliers, I think we pay the bill for these 5 years, definitely. So this is the rationale when I measure the scale for the mining side, mature scale of the startup, customers' knowledge, technology and product, team structure and business model, and traction lever, who have opportunities to talk and to discuss with the venture environment. They do this all the time. So why not we do that? We understand that all the corporate companies, they have their venture areas, corporate ventures, that they can invest in money. But more than it, we have one time, understand the business, understand the potential, and on top of that, giving some ventures. For the mining companies, and this is favorability scale for the innovation. For a giant mining company, we can split in that for internal areas, for instance. Like Vale, we have north, we have south, but in case of Samarco, we have another, it's a different rationale because it's concentrated. We have mid-size and company that they can have speed up decisions. So how can we combine in that? Innovation as a strategy, team and culture, industry context, interaction between companies and internal process. This scale for favorability with this startup maturity, the combination, green from one side and green from another side, tend to be new business, tend to scale, tend to be a new supplier for the company. And back to the beginning when I'm saying, if we're doing nothing, only big companies doing business with big companies. So just an example, used to have a startup and the guy, well, I cannot increase in my sales with the mining. They have a tremendous guys, develop wow, the solutions is very, very good. And when they start the conversation with the mine, they give you a contract with 70 pages in English and in Portuguese, all the informations, all enforcements of law, and I don't have a lawyer. So how can you do that? The good brains go to other segments. The good brains migrate to other places. And back to the previous presentation, how can we attract the new guys? They are moving to another sector. So this is a little bit rational that we used to develop in Mining Hub. And how can we speed up that? How can we increase solutions? And more than it, how can we bring new players to the table? And now in this section, in this event, I just would like, it's not only a formal thank you, but call to and address to Nick, address to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. More than present, it's a connection. It's contact discussions, and I remember several times Patricia pushing all the people to live in that. Hexagon Live. So it was tremendous. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm stay for you to have some questions and discuss a little bit. Thank you.